With all my appointments and engagements done and Rat Fink Car Show behind me,
it's a fantastic show. Probably one of the best shows they do in the whole state of Utah, I think. So it makes it kind of extra special.
it is time to make my way back to Route 66. We leave Rat Fink in Manti, Utah, a small town tucked into the Sanpete Valley that somehow manages to feel much larger than its population would suggest. At first glance, it looks like a quiet community, but Manti has been collecting stories for well over a century and a half. One of Utah's earliest colleges operated here back in the frontier days, bringing higher education to a place most people today would drive right past. The town has also appeared in films, hosted generations of community traditions, and built a reputation that stretches far beyond central Utah. For a place this size, Manti has a surprising way of leaving an impression long after you've left town. Here we are in Gunnison. Rolling on Highway 89, one of those roads that cuts through the heart of small-town Utah, where every turn seems to have a little history hiding around the corner. Gunnison sits right in the middle of Sanpete Valley, surrounded by the farmlands, mountains, and a whole lot of open space. It started back in the 1850s and grew around farming, ranching, and the kind of small-town grit you find all over this part of the state. A fun little piece of history: this area was once known for its sheep and wool industry, which played a big role in the local economy. Today, Gunnison is a quiet stop along the highway, but it's a good reminder that the best stories aren't always found in the biggest places. Sometimes they're right along the road. Now we're in Centerfield, just south of Gunnison on Highway 89. This is one of those little towns you roll through and think, I wonder where the story is here. Centerfield sits right in the middle of the Sanpete Valley, surrounded by farmland, mountains, and a whole lot of open space. It started back in the late 1800s and grew from the same things that built a lot of these Utah towns: farming, ranching, and people figuring out how to make it work out here. There's no giant attraction calling for your attention, and that's kind of the point, because sometimes the best parts of a road trip are places that make you slow down for a minute and wonder what you may or may not have missed. Here we are in Salina, Utah, cruising on 89, where this little town has been welcoming travelers for generations. Sitting between the mountains of the Sevier Valley, Salina has always been a crossroads kind of place, where people will stop, refuel, and keep on moving. On a previous travel through Salina, I did stop at Mom's Cafe at the corner of 89 and Main Street, and really good food. I highly recommend it if you're down this way. The town has roots going back to the early days of pioneers, when settlers were building farms and trying to make life in this valley. Salina was named after the nearby salt deposits that were discovered in the area. Candy Mountain, Utah. It's one of those places where the name alone makes you kind of wonder, what's going on? It's not a giant tourist stop, but they do try. Out here, the landscape does most of the talking. Open desert, mountains in the distance, and those little places along the road that make you pull over and take a look. The name definitely sounds like something out of a storybook, like Candyland. They're not about big signs or giant attractions. They're about weird little stories you find along the way. And Candy Mountain might be one of the strangest names in Utah. The name actually came from a joke. After the famous Big Rock Candy Mountain song became popular, some locals put up a sign naming this colorful stretch of hills after it. And somehow, the joke just stuck. Now, almost 100 years later, people are still pulling off the highway, wondering why there's a mountain that sounds like it belongs in a cartoon. To the left of your screen, there are several turnouts that go down into the Sevier River. Many of those turnouts are great camping spots to spend the night and to do some fishing. RVs with long wheelbase, not a good idea. A van, no problem. If wild camping is not your style, just a few miles down the road, you will find Piute State Park. RVs are 100% okay here. They have stalls with gazebos, barbecue pits, bathroom vaults, and for watercraft folks, a ramp. You can also fish on this lake. Day and night use, There is a fee, but it is very reasonable.
It's a pretty nice area.
But there's another area I'd like to go to here that is nearby and doesn't charge anything.
Alright, so at the sign that says Piute State Park, you're going to want to make a left, which is now our right.
Oh yeah, got some fancy camera work coming up here. Yep, this is not my camera turning because it's vibrating on the dash. No, not at all. This is high quality Hollywood technique stuff. Oh yeah, precision.
First, right,
Well,
and follow this trail in.
at least we got a nice view of that lake. So this is a little steep, but it is completely manageable in a van. I've seen RVs come down this, but much slower. Now it is plenty wide for 2 vehicles, so you don't have to worry about that.
Uh-oh. Hang on there. I'm coming. There we go. No littering. Please respect property. So, as long as you don't trespass into that old settling, or what do you call it? Homestead area, this is all fine. There you go, look at that. We will have cows come by to visit. You can fish here, you just need a license. Pretty good sized fish. I don't know why somebody just threw that out, but it is the next morning. This place was perfect last night.
I seriously contemplated on staying here for another 4 days, but I need to get closer to Flagstaff, Arizona. But yeah, this was a very beautiful place. Here are the coordinates. Don't mess it up. You will. There are visitors. There will be visitors in the form of cattle in the spring and summer and early fall. But I slept like a rock. I think I'm gonna drive all the way into Flagstaff, Arizona. There's a couple of places where I can park for a few days and get some work done. Not only this video, but the Ratfink reunion car show footage, as well as some future stuff that's going to be coming out after the Route 66 series. So, but yeah, this place is gorgeous. But yeah, time to hit the road. Here we are in Circleville, Utah, a town with a name that sounds simple enough until you find out where it came from. The original settlers actually laid the town out in a giant circle, hoping the design would help protect the community and their livestock. Turns out, living in a perfect circle wasn't exactly practical. So before long, the town grew to a more traditional layout. Still, the name stuck. Today, Circleville is a quiet little stop surrounded by incredible country, and it's one of those places that reminds you that people who settled the West were willing to try just about anything once. Sometimes the experiment worked. Sometimes the name is all that survives.
Garfield County. Over there to the right is the Butch Cassidy Boyhood home, which I covered right here on my channel. Here we are in Panguitch, Utah. And if you're wondering about the name, it comes from the Piute word meaning big fish. And that makes sense when you realize that some of Utah's best fishing country is right nearby. But the story most remembered by people happened during the winter of 1864 when the town was running out of food. A group of settlers crossed deep snow to reach the supplies. Laying blankets on the snow, walking across them, then picking them up and laying them down again. It's a story so legendary that Panguitch still celebrates it today with the annual Quilt Walk Festival. Not bad for a town that started with a few determined people in the middle of nowhere that somehow turned a desperate trip into a local history. Turns out if you're willing to drag blankets across a frozen wilderness to save a town, people tend to remember your story. Downtown Panguitch feels a little different because most of it never got replaced. While a lot of small towns tore down their old buildings, Panguitch held on to them. Those red brick storefronts and houses aren't reproductions. They're the originals, and that's one reason the whole town ended up on the National Register of Historical Places. So I had an epiphany. All these other YouTubers do it, but I guess it's an epiphany for me to realize it. I mounted my camera onto the roof of my van. This way, the picture is clear. You don't have to worry about a dirty windshield or cracks. And the picture looks a lot nicer. Don't you agree? That's right, Mike can be taught. It just takes him a little bit. While heading to Kanab, traveling through the Dixie National Forest, this bonehead forgot to push the button again, and so this is the only bit of footage I have left before leaving Utah. Such an amateur mistake. Next stop, we're in Arizona. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and until next time, see ya.